what we're going to do today is talk about the hubs of opportunity, but we're going to do it a little bit different, a little bit unconference. If you've been to those, then they don't really know what's going to happen. What I'm going to ask them first is to introduce themselves and talk about what they're currently doing, and then I'm going to pose a couple of questions and open up for discussion. Gavin, please, you first.
Okay, Gavin Paul, I'm running iCity London at the moment, and iCity London is an exciting new project. We're taking over the Press and Broadcast Centre on the Olympic Games, which broadcasts the Games to the world back last summer. The buildings were stress tests, they work, they're powered, they're connected. It's 1.2 million square foot of space, which we're hoping to turn into a broadcast and technology creative cluster. A real mouthful, I know. But putting in broadcasters, studios, data center, incubator, accelerator spaces you just heard about, investors, basing some funds there as well, mentoring support, business support, a university, a community college. We've got our very own 600-seat theatre, which we can do all sorts of global forums, events, launch products events, you name it, we can do it. We'll be taking possession of the buildings next year, getting fully running in 2014. So a long way to go, but from 400 expressions of interest, we won, and we're turning it into a little legacy across the park.
So can you see the building from space?
You can see the building from space.
Fantastic. Ben, there are those that have said we can see your beard from space. Tell us about what you're up to at the moment.
Yeah, hi, Benjamin Southworth, Deputy CEO of Tech City Investment Organisation, where Eric previously was guiding the ship. Our job really is we have three broad aims: foreign direct investment, bringing the big anchor companies into the community to really cement everything, make sure everything sticks together. The much more important piece that I think personally is encouraging you guys to create more businesses, celebrate that, the great diversity of London in its heart. And then the third piece is to advise government on what sort of decisions they could make to help you guys move forward. And I'm just really excited to hear such innovative, wonderful ideas. We have people like James here who have been creating great spaces for the community, people like yourself who are going to create even better, more dynamic, exciting, connected spaces. And I just think it's a very exciting time, I think, for the community.
You know I'm going to ask you about your space. James, tell us about it.
So I'm James Layfield, I'm the CEO of Central Working, and we do have a space, but it's so much more than space. We're basically trying to create the ideal environment for growing businesses. So it doesn't matter if you are Microsoft, and we had one of the board members of Microsoft as a member, or if you're a lady called Kate who makes tea from Bristol, we will help you equally. I suppose our whole belief system is simply that we want to enable people to reach their full potential. We are trying to make money whilst doing it. We're not a charity. We're not funded by the government. We're out to make money, but we're also using that intelligence about how to make money to help our membership make money. So we're about helping these people grow their businesses. We've been going for, not long, 18 months. We've created 3 physical spaces. We've got one in partnership with Google, with Easy. We've got one in partnership with Barclays that we open on Friday. So if you want to come to an amazing party on Friday night and you are free, you are welcome to come and experience it firsthand. And we've also got another one in Bloomsbury.
Well, as you were holding the microphone, I've got to ask you, how did you persuade Barclays to do that?
A lot of love. A lot of love.
But it's in the spirit of hubs of opportunity. What's the opportunity for them and for yourselves?
I think it was basically the panel before, there was a question posed by someone to someone, but the question was basically, how is it that you enable larger companies to embrace some of this collaborative working philosophy? And I think what's quite interesting is we are working with Barclays to help them become more agile. So they do actually want to do good things. They are not pure evil. They want to try and help businesses to grow, but actually they get in their own way. So what we've been able to do with them is create, well, almost cut through the crap, basically. We in Central Working the other week, we had people in Barclays that met for the first time. Genuinely, we've probably introduced more people in Barclays, 2 people in Barclays, than Barclays have ever done themselves. So what we're able to do is cut across all these layers, all these different departments, and pick the people that need to work together and get them in a room, get them excited, get them talking. So, very shortly, if you are a business coming to the UK from abroad, you will be able to open a bank account in Central Working in 20 minutes, which is faster than you can open a bank account anywhere else in Britain. And that's the sort of stuff that we're enabling them to do.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Very impressed with that. Please pass the mic on to Ben. Ben, in the hubs of opportunity, what is needed for success? Can I ask you for your viewpoint, because you come to the world with a very different viewpoint to that which I come from. And I'd love it if you firstly share the viewpoint, especially the freelancer, the background, and how that fits into the hubs of opportunity. What do these hubs need?
So I mean, yeah, I have a slightly mad philosophy. Is really kind of about the village as a core concept in terms of community being a central tenet, right? Business, everyone says business is about people, it is, but people are also about networks, and we need to ensure that people are talking to each other and not working in isolation. There is a continual sort of problem and desire to work online, and many developers, hackers, freelancers, we were all like, yes, let's just go and work at home and we don't have to get dressed anymore, and this will be great, this will be a revelation. I can code in my pajamas and I will be more productive than ever before. And after about day 7 of this regime, you really begin to miss people. And you kind of go through this kind of heartache, and you're trying to work out why you're not finding cats on Reddit funny anymore, why your Facebook friends are annoying you, why you've made 17 cups of tea, what is the best way to make tea. You basically break down, because people in isolation is actually torture, and that's why they put people in isolation. So what we try to do, and I think I've always tried to do, is encourage community. And community isn't just people in a room talking, it's about the understanding that everyone has a role to play, from the people who organise Silicon Drink About, all the way to the people who bring the beer, to the people who provide the spaces. Everyone has a role, everyone has a sort of participating point of view, and everyone is equal. It is a kind of a big, broad, open kind of hug, right? We're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to make money. We're all trying to do the right thing. We're trying to be interested and be excited. So these kind of hubs of opportunity, which if it hasn't had quotes around it, needs quotes around it.
So it's more hugs in the hubs. Got it.
More hugs than hubs, more high fives.
Got it. Gavin, you have the broadest shoulders of everyone I know, because there's this small thing, you know, the Olympics, where we as a country invest about £9 billion in it. And somehow all the roads are pointing at you. No pressure. But I would love to know, I mean, it has obviously created an extraordinary opportunity for us. We all saw 23,000 simultaneous HD streams being broadcast. If anybody wants to know how hard that is to do, that's bloody hard. But I'm told that that's just a fraction of the real connectivity that you do have. You are one of the most connected places on the planet now, aren't you?
That's right. I mean, that's one of our key selling points, which is, you know, we are the most connected building in the UK, if not in Europe. And I think what Ben was talking about, which is, you know, the village type of atmosphere, the connectivity between people, that's something we've built in right from the very start. So in our bid document, the focus on the community was not just about the convergence message of the Olympic Games, but how are we going to work with the 6 Olympic boroughs to lift aspiration and lift opportunity for the young people over the next 2 decades. Actually, it was about creating a community within the ICT site, 2 great buildings linked with this theatre, with a public realm space, which we're going to do some really great fun work with these superb urban landscape designers up in Birmingham. And I think from that point, we're in a London event, aren't we? Sorry, but they came out of London and went up there again. So I think the issue on the community is really, really important. For all the things that Ben was saying, we want this to be a place that people just come to, either to work, either as an employee, either as someone who's creating opportunity, creating wealth, or actually as a marketplace. And they're trading goods and services between one another. And then the businesses, as they grow, they're trading goods and services in the local community and then globally out because of the connectivity that we've got within the demise. I think from the broadcasting point of view, you know, we haven't seen anything yet. We're going to see new stations being developed as a result of the opportunity we've got in this building. Now, it's reasonably cheap to be where we are. If you're looking at central London and looking at what we can offer and the connectivity and the power that we've got on tap, this is a great opportunity for people who are wishing to start up new TV stations, people who are wanting to start new post-production units, people to get into editing, people want to get into CGIs but can't afford to break in to challenge some of the big mighties like Pixar. We've got the facilities which we're able to offer that as an entry into that market. And I think from that point of view, it's a real community, and people are going to thrive amongst one another.
So that's where we drill down a little bit into the hubs of opportunity. And the question about whether thematic really matters, whether you can go sectorially deep and provide a huge amount of value add by doing so. Because I do remember the last .com boom and bust, and there were those that tried that then, but kind of failed, probably because of management and things like that. So why is this different? Why will this work? I mean, I come to this as a question, asking the question as a newbie to accelerator spaces. I mean, we're launching Level 39, which is going to go thematically deep in fintech, financial technologies, and retail tech, because we have a huge retail capacity here in Canary Wharf. And we think that's a good offer for the community, but we don't know yet. What do we need to put into that to really make it work? Pass that one back, I think, to James, because he's got some experience with this already.
We'll see. I suppose, again, it goes back to my sort of love point a little bit. I think one of the main things that you need if you're doing this stuff is belief in the individuals that are doing it. And you need to put in place a support system to enable them. And I think that's why we, as a philosophy, have a sort of ecosystem approach. It doesn't matter, as I said, if you're making tea bags, we want you as a customer. If you're making shoes, not these shoes, but we want you as a customer. And equally, if you're Stratuscore, who are basically at the super high end of rendering software for animation, we want you as a customer. Because we think that within that exactly, you might be lucky to get them, but we've already got them, boy. Basically, we've got, we want this ecosystem where they can all work together. So, for example, Stratuscore might be within our spaces, but we're also talking about working with you guys on that. And it is, to Ben's point, it's trying to tie all these things together. So you've got to bring in mentors, as the guy said, but I think to scale mentors, the best type of mentors are people like you who have done what you've done before. So we try and encourage the founders of the businesses to help each other. If you've never run a business before, you've no idea what it's like to run a business. If you've run a business before, you've got a lot to share. If you're on that journey, you've got a lot to share. So it's basically about creating a really fabulous place where people are happy to chat, happy to engage, and actually to give them the tools to do that, because serendipity is all well and good, but I do think you have to a degree, curate it, and you do have to sort of gently push people in the right direction.
So one of the exciting things I discovered about Ben Southworth is that he loves a good argument. And one of the things that we've done is successfully argued about mentorship. So I'm going to give you the chance. Tell me what the right kind of mentorship is.
So I think since I've reversed position slightly on my...
No!
I know, just to kind of embarrass you. So I think it's only fair that I explain where I came from and kind of how I've ended up around. For me, mentorship kind of took a slightly dirty phrase, and I think a lot of this came out of the first .com boom, and a kind of everybody... In order to create an ecosystem that matters, people have to be doing things for the right reasons. They have to be wanting to help you because they want to help you, not because they want you to make money, which then they could make money from. Right? It needs to be a completely altruistic, beautiful approach. Right? I am doing the right thing for the right reasons. Now, when I kind of was working around doing things, people would mentor me, and kind of what I felt they were doing was saying, you need to not be how you are. And I'm a stubborn bastard. I am a really difficult person to work with. I am argumentative and I am opinionated, but I do at least every now and then say I was wrong, which I think is my only saving grace, and a beard. But if we can encourage mentors on all levels, right, not just people who have done it and achieved and succeeded, but also people who have failed, people who have actually built code, people who have been successful designers. Like, if we can take a sort of much more bottom-up approach to the idea of mentorship, we can do the idea of education, of facilitation, of support, of love, of tea, of hugs, then I think we can create a really meaningful community. But if we continuously say that person is better, we're going to miss tricks. What we need is we are all equally skilled in a variety of different ways. The knowledge of the PR person, from the Politico, to the person who pours great pints, to makes great tea, everyone is equal and everyone has a part to play. And I think it's really important we kind of just understand peer-to-peer education rather than a top-down approach. So that's great. Yeah.
I want to make sure we leave enough time for questions, because I have a whole bunch more questions, but I'm just going to say that if anybody does have a burning question, then just raise your hand and we'll try and make sure we fit it in as soon as possible. Does anybody have a question at this point? Oh, right in the middle there, and one down the front here. So let's go with the microphone. If you don't mind, we'll do it this way around because it's just closer. So, Ami, if you'd go first. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ami from the Innovation Warehouse, and my question is, it's all well and good, all the stuff, the sort of ingredients and the spices that you're throwing in, a bit of space, a bit of mentoring, but isn't it, and also I see like very deep property plays like Level 39 and iCity, but what about money? Isn't money the thing that actually creates the jobs, that creates the opportunities, that creates the activity that will fill the space and fuel the spaces that you're creating? And isn't that where, isn't that really what we should be looking for? Isn't that really the thing that's going to make the difference at the end of the day?
Absolutely. And when we were putting together the way that iCity wanted to operate, and the way that we wanted to see it drive forward innovation and growth, was that we wanted to go out there and attract funding, not for ourselves, because we're in our own competition and we have to go through that process ourselves to get ourselves funded, but to make sure there was funding opportunities for those who are going to come here and grow and start businesses. And my challenge to VCs and private equities and fund holders in the room, my challenge to the VCs and private equity of this country has been, don't just cherry pick, don't just take away when it gets to third round investment, because actually we need the seed investment and we need the angel investment, and then too often big guys coming in and then take away at third stage. And what we really wanted to encourage for the BBCA and others was a real commitment that they would come along, and they'd bring funds on board to be able to invest at early stages in the spaces that we're setting aside for new startups. And I think if we get that right, then we can really see some growth. And the final point, before you jump in there, the final bit I think is really important is, what do we as a society see success looks like? I mean, we often hear, quoted all over the papers, that everybody's in search of the next Google, which would be fantastic, but every company isn't going to be the next Google. And actually every company doesn't want to be the next Google either. So actually if you can grow a company from 2 to 10, and you're happy and you're comfortable and it's creating wealth and it's creating employment, and you're actually creating products and services which are required and needed and being bought and purchased in the community, that's success. And if it goes to 25, so great. But if you're not actually turning over 1.2 billion, you're seen as a failure. And I think that's something we need to cut through in a society and say that any business which is growing, any business which is making a turnover, any business which is supporting local employment and employment across the UK is success. And we don't say it enough, and the politicians don't say it enough, and we should do.
Excellent. I echo that thought. And also just, I suppose, there's a few things we're trying to do that, so it's about enabling. So again, one of the nice things about the thing we're doing with Barclays is they've got a load of customers in a part of Barclays called Barclays Wealth. The name gives you a clue as to what they have. And what's fascinating is there's loads of people who have cash in Barclays Wealth that want to do something with it but don't know how to. So as part of what we try and do, which is, I suppose, enable people to realise their full potential. It doesn't matter if you're a kid on the street who hasn't got any money, whose mum and dad haven't worked, whose mum and dad before that haven't worked, and you want to get into business, we'll help you do that. But if you're a bajillionaire and you're sat in your yacht and you've got a load of cash in the bank and you don't quite know how to become an angel investor, we'll help you do that too. So we've got a program we're starting next year where we're flying in some people from the US to train our bajillionaires how to become better angel investors. And that's, again, part of the initiative that we're helping with Barclays, to unlock some of that capital, to get it into the grubby hands of our lovely entrepreneurs.
Superb. So obviously this is a topic that the investment as a broad topic is incredibly interesting and very important. It's a whole session in itself. But I think that one of the things that I've observed, which is very exciting, is that we have a broader range of places we can go to for investment now, especially with things like crowdfunding. And that, to me, is very encouraging. It's a huge opportunity. I'm also frightened we're going to cock it up. So I'd like us not to mess it up, because crowdfunding is enabling and unlocking everything from social ventures right the way through to equity with some FSA regulated organisations. So that is incredibly important, but I just don't want it to go wrong. And it is a financial innovation that I'm keen to continue to encourage. Ben, do you do any work on finance, and do you see that as a barrier to the hubs of opportunity being realised?
The government obviously has put in a bunch of really clever and interesting and useful policies that are enabling money to get into the hands of entrepreneurs, whether they have grubby hands or clean hands. I think I'm concerned that if we consistently chase money, we will not consistently chase ideas. And actually, sometimes running for money isn't the right thing to do. Sometimes just following a good idea down to its natural conclusion is the right thing to do. Sometimes doing something just because you love it is really, really important. And I'm keen to create sustainable, long-term, meaningful businesses. I don't care if you have 10 customers and you just create enough money to survive and you have one person, and you automate all of your back-end tasks and you don't employ anyone. It doesn't matter. The point is that you should be happy and successful creating businesses. If we consistently ask for investors, we need to ensure that those investors are rightfully trained about what to invest in. Not everyone can apply the same methodology of investing over and over again. You have to be quite clever to understand what a good investment is. So it's about finding the right money, it's about finding smart money, it's about making sure that money actually is meaningful to people. Money into a business does not accelerate the businesses. It means people get a little bit lazy, they tend to kind of overreach themselves, they have big ideas they desperately wish to go for. Sometimes that's not the right play at all, and we know this through Lee's startup methodology being so successful. We know that entrepreneurs actually need a bit of guidance, need to validate ideas, go and find customers and work out how to build scale and how to make things that are meaningful. Throwing money at a problem has never ever worked, and it will not work again. So money is not the core.
I'm delighted to say that some of the companies that are exhibiting at the top there are recipients of small amounts of capital from the government that have resulted in terrific businesses. I want to make sure that we get to the other question here.
The question is in regards to hubs, and in particular in iCity. Ron Silvox mentioned earlier that in general, master planning is not maybe the best way to grow hubs, and organic growth and people popping up and forming them as they want is much better. What are your thoughts, particularly on iCity? How do you, it sounds a bit like we're trying to force it. How do you bring in that organic growth as well?
Well, I think the answer to that is under the free market philosophy, which is we can't force anybody to come to iCity. So they actually choose to come here because the rates are right, the facilities are right, the connectivity right, the power's right, the area where they can take, the location that it's at, the ability to get to City Airport, Stansted Airport, over to Europe by Eurostar, up to King's Cross in 7 minutes, into central London in 20 minutes. All of that is right for people. So we're not forcing anybody to come. It's their choice. I think what we are doing, and I think that is appropriate because of our vision for what we're trying to achieve on site, is we are being reasonably selective with some of the people, or some of the organisations, not people, but some of the organisations that we would like on site. And we talk to them, not in isolation, but we talk to them with others about mutual benefits of sitting alongside one another. And I think when people start to get excited about the fact that they're going to be sat alongside other major corporates, other broadcasters, other incubator spaces, a university, the proximity for other universities coming in and taking data center space for high-power computing systems, when people start getting excited, I think we've got it right. So you can say whether that's organic growth, which is slightly cultured, possibly, but there's certainly no forcing because that just wouldn't work.
Well, we're glad to see it's being encouraged, especially as part of the growth of the East and the regeneration of the East. Canary Wharf has its place in that. iCity is the tech city, and actually we're just very keen to see iCity succeed as part of the overall growth of the East Cluster, as well as, and that helping to raise the game for the rest of London and the rest of the UK. I'm afraid we don't really have any more time for questions. I wanted to leave more, but actually we are going to stay around for a bit longer, so please catch us afterwards if you want to continue the conversation. Big round of applause for my guest, please. Thank you.